Welcome in to the Merrifield Sportsbook Show. It is part two of our conference tournament preview. We welcome back Jay DeCoster, who did not show up last week. And in pre-show, we theorized that it was just because he didn't want to assert his massive ball knowledge on mid-major basketball. This is he just didn't want to show off to us because that's just how Jay is. So Jay, welcome back. How are you doing today?
Like I said pre-show, woke up feeling great about our national title contending MSC Michigan State Spartans, but we'll get to that in a little bit. Feeling great though. Can't wait. This is March as Wofford wins the SoCon championship. So go Terriers.
Yes, we now have, as of recording, 6 teams already in the tournament. We will have a 7th in about 2 minutes in basketball time, so that's about a half hour. Jay Walsh, welcome back. Are you prepared for part 2 of this conference tournament preview?
Absolutely. As I said pre-show, last week was, I would say, top 3 episodes of the Merrifield Sportsbook Show, just simply because of the incredible ball knowledge that was put on display. So I'm ready to follow that up today.
It was definitely up there, top 3. I think the Super Bowl show and how that just went off the rails at some points is up there too. But that was definitely one of the top. And then Matt, how are we doing today? Have we recovered from the NHL trade deadline?
I have recovered. I don't know if the Carolina Hurricanes have recovered, but at the moment I literally 2 seconds before I logged on to the show, my apartment was empty, and now there are way too many people in my apartment outside, so I apologize. And all these people, I believe, are intoxicated and will probably beat me in my bracket pool in about 2 weeks, despite them not knowing shit about any of the teams that we're about to talk about. So that makes me feel thrilled, but I can't wait to be here. And Arkansas State's going to lose, which is disappointing. But hey, here we are. Happy March.
Yes, indeed. Here we are. There's a lot of basketball to get into. We're diving straight in once again. And there is no better way, I guess, to start than the Big 12. This conference it's stacked. It's not SEC or Big 10 stacked, but there's a lot of good contenders in this conference to win it. They're going to be playing on a court that just is unwatchable. It's absolutely disgusting what they've done. Hopefully they actually wised up and threw away the court from the women's tournament. I don't think they did, though. It's absolutely terrible to watch. It feels like I don't even know what it feels like, but it's awful. Jay Walsh, just stop me from rambling. What are your thoughts here on the Big 12?
So this is kind of an interesting one because I think while there are a lot of good teams in the Big 12 this year, I don't really know that there are any great ones. I have kind of conditioned myself at this point to just never fully believe in Houston. I mean, they're a good team. I just, for whatever reason, they just seem to be cursed in March. So I'm going to continue with that strategy. I am not going with Houston, the 1 seed, to win the Big 12 tournament this year. I'm instead going with the BYU Cougars, who snuck into the 4 seed, riding an 8-game win streak to end the year. They're kind of my prototypical March team. Excellent rebounding, solid on defense. They're second in the Big 12 in rebounding rate, and they're a very deep team. They have 9 guys averaging over 16 minutes per game. As I said last week several times, I'm a big fan of teams that can just wear you out with depth over the course of a couple days. So I think that this is a team that's built to, I mean, they've already made a run to end the season. This is a team that's built to continue that run. I'm going with the Cougs, not the Houston ones.
Jay, we'll move on to you. Your thoughts on this Big 12?
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with Jay Walsh. I mean, but I think in this scenario, like BYU's been really good. They've had some really good wins, beating Iowa State a couple weeks ago, a couple other really good teams. But I'm just looking at, I mean, the popular place can be Houston, but I mean, I'm just looking at this bracket. Like Arizona, I don't really trust at all. I mean, BYU. I mean, you got Iowa. Iowa State's still a very good team. I mean, they can pick them off at any point. I guess my pick would be Texas Tech. I mean, Texas Tech versus Houston. That game is just going to be like a race to 60. I mean, two really, really good defensive teams, two gritty defensive teams. Texas Tech's a really good team. They're going to be a 2 seed. They're going to be a problem for my pick right now. They can make a pretty deep run just because, I mean, they got their really, really good defensive mentality type of team. So I'm going to go Texas Tech over Houston at this point. I mean, Houston, I agree with Jay Walsh. Like they'll probably make a deep run and then just phase out in the Elite Eight or the Final Four. I feel like they just always disappoint. I mean, Calvin Sampson's a great coach and they have like the best defense in the country outside Tennessee, but do I see them making another huge run? I mean, they didn't last year because they lost Jamal Shed, but can I see them making a run? Yes, probably will happen, probably not.
Matt, we have two different picks from two different people. Are you going to make it 3 for 3 here?
I will make it 3 for 3. I am going to cop out and go with the Houston Cougars. This, as of 2 weeks ago, they were my national championship pick because this team is really good. They've lost 4 games this year, one of which has been in regulation. They lost to Bama in overtime on a neutral floor, San Diego State in overtime on a neutral floor, Texas Tech at home in overtime. Then they lost by Auburn in a game at the Toyota Center by 5. This is a really good basketball team. They play some of the best defense in the country. They shoot the ball extremely well. Their one probably knock is their shot selection is questionable at times, but when they actually are settled in on offense and don't settle for bad shots, they're a top 10 3-point shooting team in the country. There's no real recipe to beat this team. I know Texas Tech was able to do that in that overtime game, even without JT Toppin for like 95% of that basketball game. But I can't go against Houston right now. It's them in Florida, in my opinion, is the 2 best teams in college basketball this year. And I'm going to keep riding. And I would like to say, I think the Big 12 is still the best conference in college basketball this year. I think it's better than the SEC. Yes, Kansas has been a disappointment, but I think Texas Tech and Houston can beat any team in the SEC. And I think it's really deep. I think West Virginia is a very solid team. I think Iowa State is a very solid team, very strong team. Baylor's, I know they're on the bubble, but I still think they're a very good team. BYU is very strong, like Jay Walsh pointed out, and I think they're actually better off with Mark Pope leaving. They play a better brand of basketball now. Kansas State, when they play right, very good basketball team. So I think the Big 12 is one of the best in the nation, and I'm very excited for this week for some Big 12 basketball.
I'm going to agree with Jay on this one. I think Texas Tech is going to end up winning this Big 12. And I do think part of it is because, JT Toppin has had an incredible season this year. But you also got to factor in March, it's all about matchups. I think Texas Tech easily kind of has the better side of the bracket, potentially facing Baylor in their first game in the quarterfinal. It's obviously no easy task, but it's easier than probably what would be on the other side of that bracket with potential, Houston potentially facing West Virginia or BYU and Iowa State. And then you have a potential of either Arizona or Kansas in a semifinal. It feels like it's an easier path for Texas Tech in this one. And I like them to go to the final, where who knows who they meet up against, but I'm pretty sure they've beaten both Houston and BYU this season. I know they beat Houston. But I like the Red Raiders in this one. So we'll move on. We'll head out west to the Mountain West. It's not as strong as it usually is. They'll probably still get multiple bids in the tournament, but it's not like the 6-bid Mountain West that we saw a few years ago. So Jay, start with you. Mountain West. This has been New Mexico's conference this year. Richard Pitino. Does that run continue here in Vegas?
Yeah, I would probably say so. I mean, they're a projected 8 seed, right, or an 8 or 9 seed right now, according to Lenardi. I mean, they're going to give a lot of teams a run for their money. I mean, Mountain West is a pretty weak conference. I think they have. I think Boise State is is on like the last team out right now. I'd probably ride with Richard Pitino in New Mexico. Obviously, Utah State has given some teams over fits over the years. They're going to be an issue, and you get Colorado State potentially in the semifinal, or even if Nevada picks off Colorado State. But I would probably lean with New Mexico here, just the safe pick. They've been rolling in this conference, and I mean they're going to be a pretty decently rated seed for a Mountain West team. So I'll ride with the Richard Pitino's.
Matt, we'll move on to you. Your thoughts here on the Mountain West.
I really like this conference this year. I think that in terms of like the competitiveness within the conference, tournament time, probably all going to lose in the first round, if we're being honest here. But one team I think is in a really good position to go on a run in this tournament, I think is going to win it, is Colorado State. They are the 2 seed. But they're the ones that need the most wins out of this weekend. Boise State, as long as they win that first game Thursday, they should hear their name on Selection Sunday. Colorado State has to get to that final game, and at that point, they might as well go out and win it. I really like this team. They shoot the ball well. They're, according to Compound, they're the most balanced team between offense and defense. They're like second in offense, third in defense in the Mountain West. I think it's Nick Clifford. Nick, I don't know how to say it. They're a 6'6" guard, forward, whatever you want to call him. He's averaging 18.5 and 10 rebounds a game, 5 assists. Like, he does it all. He's a really, really strong player. He's going to be all Mountain West, maybe the Conference Player of the Year again this year. I just like Colorado State in the position they're in to go out. They need to go on a run. Obviously, there's a lot of good teams, but there's no true favorite. And they're playing really good basketball as of late. They've kind of figured it out after a slow start. So give me the Colorado State Rams from Fort Collins to figure it out and win the Mountain West.
Jay Walsh, we'll go on to you. It kind of feels like it's a more balanced Mountain West this year, but obviously you still have those big names at the top. Who walks away with this Mountain West tournament?
I agree with Matt in this one. I'm taking Colorado State. This is a team that has really kind of started clicking down the stretch. And as Matt said, they pretty much need to go all the way here. They ended the season on a 7-game win streak. They're a very good, they're not really great at a lot of things, but they're pretty overall good at just about everything. They're solid defensively, solid rebounding. They're a good 3-point shooting team, good free throw shooting team. This is just, they're kind of an all-around good team that can beat you in multiple ways. They're a very deep team. They have 9 guys averaging over 14.6 minutes per game. I think this is a team that not only is built to make a run in a tournament like this, but they are clicking at the right time to do it. They have the motivation. Give me the Rams.
And the thing about Colorado State, they're coming in like one of the hottest teams in the Mountain West right now, if not the hottest, 7 straight wins. And I think that gives them a good shot. I still think what Richard Pitino has done with New Mexico this year, they just look kind of different than they have in the past few years. It kind of was struggling to get, traction going, but they figured it out. I like New Mexico to win this. Like I said, they've kind of just been dominant this year. Donovan Dent, he's been incredible for them. You look at some of their losses, though. That San Jose State loss back in January doesn't look great, but it's there. And then you had the back-to-back losses to Boise State and San Diego State right in mid-February. I think they'll get it figured out. I think they'll move on and win the Mountain West. Well, we move on to the most important tournament, honestly. There are no other tournaments. It is just this one. It's the Big East tournament, Madison Square Garden, Electric Factory. Matt, we'll go to you first. Big East, best conference. Who's winning?
I hate my answer that's about to come out of my mouth, but I really don't see a better option. As much, I mean, St. John's could win it, but I don't think they're going to get it done. And because unfortunately, while they're playing at their home arena in Madison Square Garden, it's still not their home because it's Storrs South, and that is why the UConn Huskies are going to win the Big East tournament. You know what? You're asking me to pick a team out of this group because this is a bad Big East this year. You want to talk about like the Mountain West not being quite as good. You want to talk about the Big 12 or the Big 10 or this conference stinks this year. Like truly, as much as they were a 2-bid conference last year, I hate this conference. It's not good. Marquette's bad. Creighton is not good. Creighton should not be second in this conference. St. John's is a good basketball team. UConn has underperformed. Georgetown, DePaul, that's just a pathetic basketball game that's about to transpire on Wednesday night, even though Jay and Nick are going to be locked in as soon as that game tips off at 6:30 or whenever it tips off. Villanova should be a tournament team. There's zero excuse. And I think they're a potential bid stealer. I do think Villanova has a shot at winning this tournament. But give me the UConn Huskies. You're asking me one coach to get it done, 3 straight wins in 3 days at a bona fide home game. Give me Dan Hurley. He's a fucking nut job. If you missed the 60-minute segment yesterday, you have to watch it because that guy is clinically insane. Like genuinely, but he's got to win something this year because he's not winning the NCAA tournament. No 3-peat for UConn, but they win the Big East tournament at the Mecca.
Wow. Just hearing Matt Merrifield say the words 60 minutes. Wow. That just chills. That gives me chills. Jay Walsh, we'll move on to you. The most important basketball tournament in all the country. Who walks away with the crown on Saturday night in the world's most famous arena?
So, like Matt, I also don't like my answer here. And it's different reasons, and it's because it's a team that I usually absolutely refuse to believe in March. But I have unfortunately talked myself into it, and it's the Xavier Musketeers. They are just absolutely red hot down the stretch, 7-game win streak. They are a team that I typically cannot stand picking in March because they're a team that's just going to shoot threes. If they make them, they're going to beat you. If they don't, they're going to lose. But they are absolutely red hot. I'm picking them to continue their ride. They're a solidly deep team, 8 guys averaging over 10 minutes per game, 4 guys averaging 9.6 points per game. So their production comes from a number of different sources. I really don't like it, but as Matt said, I don't think the Big East is really any good this year. So I don't think there's that dominant team that there usually is. So I'm unfortunately taking the Musketeers to go all the way and continue their hot streak.
Jay, move on to you. We'll get your pick of who's winning the Big East, but Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern Time is the most important game in Big East tournament history.
There's nothing better than this. I mean, DePaul already beat them like 2 days ago in front of like 500 people.
They swept them this year.
Yes, that's how bad Georgetown has been over the last decade. That you're getting swept by DePaul. But anyways, fantastic game, and watch out Creighton because those demons are coming for a bid stealer. I'm going with the pretty boring pick here. St. John's has been the best team all year. It's at home. It's basically at their home arena, or it is their home arena. They should not have beaten Marquette on Saturday. They somehow did because Marquette just found a way to lose that game. They're on a magical ride right now, and they're just that good of a defensive team. Number 2 in KenPom. They're going to obliterate you. They're going to keep you under 60 if they can. It's going to be St. John's versus UConn in the title game. It'll be a fantastic game, but I will take I'll do the boring side here and go with St. John's because their magical ride is just going to continue. Now we'll continue into the NCAA tournament. Who knows? But the Big East is it's theirs this year, so I will go with the Johnnies.
Come on. I don't even need to really go into this. I mean, we're doing a Lee Corso putting on the headgear. How many coaches have went on to 60 Minutes the week before the conference tournament and lost the conference tournament? I don't think any have. So, I mean, it's as Matt said, there are two coaches in this conference built to win 3 games in 3 days, and they'll be meeting each other in the final. And that's Rick Pitino and Dan Hurley. And Dan Hurley's not going to lose to his St. John's team 3 times in a year. He just can't. If you watch 60 Minutes, him breaking down the film of the St. John's game, he was disgusted. He was disgusted with all of it. I refuse to believe he's going to let that happen again. And what can I say? The magical run to three-peat starts on Thursday at, I think the tip is 9 o'clock or 9:30 against, I don't even know. I think it would be Villanova or Seton Hall. So Villanova, which is a team they have lost to this year. But Huskies, Rollskis, it's going to be a fun March because they're coming for the three-peat. Matt shakes his head. But when they beat whoever they beat as their 1 seed in their region, straight to San Antonio for the Huskies. We'll move on. We'll move on to the MAAC with 1A, live from Cleveland. I don't even know what to say here after Big East talk. So, Jay Walsh, just take it away on your MAAC with 1A pick.
So, honestly, there's not a lot to say here. The pick is Akron. They've absolutely dominated this conference all year long, finishing 17-1 in conference play. And by the way, before I continue, I just want to say we talked a lot about tournament formats yesterday. This is a terrible format for the opposite reasons of what I was talking about yesterday. The fact that there is no bye for the top seeds in the MAAC tournament format is ridiculous. I don't care how you get it done. You got to get it done. There's got to be some positive to winning the regular season conference championship. Anyway, Akron's just absolutely dominated the MAAC all year long. They're a very deep team, 9 guys over 15 minutes per game. They're great defensively, great rebounding, good 3-point shooting team. They are head and shoulders the best team in this conference, and they are a team that could be a potential look for an upset in the first round, depending on the matchup.
Jay, is it Akron? Next question with this pick.
No, it's Akron or Miami, Ohio, and Miami, Ohio is going to upset Akron in the championship game and Cleveland. For the first time, they're going to go to the tournament for the first time since 2007. So give me the Red Hawks because it's the MAAC. Anything can happen in the MAAC. Go Red Hawks.
That's exactly right. Matt, are the Miami Red Hawks in for a redemption after their absolute disaster of a hockey season?
No, unfortunately. If the Akron Zips don't do it, which I did pick them in the Jerome, but they have had fraudulent tendencies. If there was a Fraud Con MAAC edition, they would be Fraud Con 2 every single year, despite the fact that they finally got it done last year. I would like to say Bowling Green is playing very good basketball right now as an 8 seed. They might be the best 8 seed in mid-major basketball. Okay, first off, since February 4th, they are 6-3. 6-3? 7-3. They closed out the year 7-3. They lost to Akron back on January 3rd by 3. We all know what they did in East Lansing. They had Michigan State on the ropes, the Big Ten champs on the ropes until at the 10-minute mark of the second half. Marcus Johnson is the next coming of Charles Barkley. Bowling Green's getting hot at the right. I'm not saying that they're going to win, but they're getting 11 points on Thursday, according to Ken Baum. I'm hard pressed not to take the Falcons. Tum Nairn, future Spartan head coach. I'm just saying, keep an eye on the Red Hawks, but Akron's probably winning this conference. I just wanted to provide some insight to literally anybody that is in Akron and maybe fill some time, even though the show's going to go way too long today. We're already 25 minutes in, and I'm rambling about Marcus Johnson, the Bowling Green Falcons. Also, I know the mascot for the Bowling Green Falcons, so he was unveiled like 2 weeks ago. Grew up, played baseball with him. Had no idea, but here we are. Go Falcons.
I don't know how to top that, so I don't know. Give me Miami of Ohio. Why not? Go Red Hawks. Got a friend that graduated from there. Shout out. Jay Cleveland. Shout out your nickname. Shout out to USPBL. Yep. Let's move on. We'll move on to the MAAC with 2 A's. It's the MAAC with 2 A's live from Atlantic City. Jay DeCoster, I know your ball knowledge on the MAAC with 2 A's is just phenomenal here.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I mean, hey, Iona, the former Fighting Rick Pitino's and Iona could keep it close against Quinnipiac, but give me the hockey school because why not?
Matt,
I don't know the last time they made the tournament, but
You're getting nothing from me here. The only hint of ball knowledge I have about the MAAC is, I think 2 years ago, 3 years ago, it was the COVID tournament. Mount St. Mary's made the NCAA tournament, and their point guard, their best player, they talked about during the title game when they were still in the Northeast Conference about how the point guard used to carry his dad up the stairs at the apartment they lived in because he couldn't walk. And they did not live in a handicap accessible apartment, so he used to have to carry his father up the stairs. That's all I got, but give me Quinnipiac.
Jay Walsh, I don't know. Your pick.
I don't know what I'm supposed to say after that. But
let me find his name. Hold on.
I should not.
I genuinely don't know how I'm supposed to follow that up. But anyone who knows or has interacted with me about college basketball over the last couple of years knows that the St. Peter's Peacocks are near and dear to my heart. They are. Whether it's because my grandfather attended St. Peter's or because I half jokingly picked them to upset Kentucky just to piss off a certain former member of Sports Perspectives MSU who had Kentucky winning the national championship, and then they actually did it. But either way, St. Peter's has been my team, and I'm sticking with them. Let's go Cox, baby. They're very deep, 9 guys averaging 14-plus minutes per game. They're good rebounding, very good defensively. They can get hot from 3. I don't care that they suck. I don't care they're second to last in the conference or whatever. Give me the Cox. Pause.
Hey, Jay Walsh, did you look at the bracket?
Are you? Am I like crazy here?
I did. They're not on there, are they?
No.
I'm picking them anyway. Fuck it.
I was like, am I crazy?
They're gonna make a.
You were talking up St. Peter's. I'm like, I got some news.
They're gonna make a WWE surprise entrance with a chair in hand. Take out anyone. I don't give a fuck.
I'm gonna follow that up with. I'm gonna follow that up with. I found my point guard, Damian Chong Key, 5'8". He was 5'8". He averaged 15 a game that year for the Mount St. Mary's Mountaineers. He then transferred to play for the Mastodons at Purdue Fort Wayne. But anywho,
this is excellent. This is just peak content right here.
I don't know. I don't know where to go. I've said this 2 conferences in a row. I don't know where to go from here. Give me the hockey school because they've never made the NCAA tournament. Give me Quinnipiac. They may make a deep run in the hockey tournament too. Who knows? Oh, dear Lord. We have to move on to this one. The ACC, dear Lord. I don't even want to. Jay, just start talking about the ACC.
Duke, next question. Clemson could be decent. Louisville's a bunch of frauds. Next question.
Matt?
Maryland. Give me Give me Clemson. I think Clemson's the best team in this. I don't think Duke is that good. Duke's not a 1 seed. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about how the fact that we were this close to Duke losing on Saturday? They weren't that close to losing on Saturday, but like had they lost that game, they would not have. They would have been the 3 seed and maybe the worst ACC ever, and still would have been a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament. That is baffling to me. But anywho, give me Clemson. I think that's a really good team. I think Clemson is it might be the only Final Four caliber team or proven Final Four caliber team in that conference, even though they've also played the dog shit conference all year. Fun fact, the ACC never had a ranked versus ranked matchup in conference play this year. At no point did 2 ranked teams play each other. That is baffling to me. Other side note, 2 p.m. tomorrow, Micah Shrewsbury versus Pitt. I'm all in on this game. Notre Dame, Notre Dame's going to go on a run in this tournament. They will get to Wake Forest. They might get to the semis on Friday, simply because this conference is terrible. Notre Dame, 12 seed. They're getting 4 tomorrow. Already put American currency on it. Go Shrewsbury. 5 overtimes. They got plenty of legs ready to go for this ACC tournament. They are primed and ready.
Jay Walsh.
I don't even know, because Duke is by far the best team in this conference, but I really don't even think they're like that. This conference is just not good. I really don't like Duke at all. I really don't. So I'm gonna go with Clemson here. Not a whole bunch of reasoning. I know that they're very solid offensively. They shoot threes very well. My main thing is I just don't think. I don't know. I'm not a Duke believer this year. I think they have benefited from playing in the worst power conference in the country. And I don't know. I don't think they're going to get it done. So I'm going Clemson.
Give me Florida State to win on Tuesday by 10 plus, because I have to. Past that, Clemson, I don't know. I hate all these teams. They're all equally bad. A few of them much worse than others. Thinking of teams in Pennsylvania, New York, and Massachusetts, but that's neither here nor there. Florida State, 10-plus point winner tomorrow or today, whenever you're watching this. It may be yesterday by the time you watch this. Who knows? Florida State wins that game by a lot, and then Clemson finds a way to win the title. Let's move on to the CUSA. We're just digging deep for just great basketball here. Matt, what are your thoughts here on the CUSA?
I said it a moment ago, and I wasn't kidding. The Blue Raiders are winning the Conference USA this year. Unironically, this is a good basketball team. Like, no laughs, no jokes. They're a top 2 team in this conference. For the Jerome, I love them because you get bonus points for not taking a top 2 seed, and they are the 3 seed in this conference. They shoot the ball well. They do a lot of things really well. I'm trying to look up their KenPom page, and I did not have it ready because I didn't realize we were going to the Conference USA next, and KenPom just crashed on my laptop, so it's just not responding. All of Google Chrome just crashed. But anyway, I looked them up a little bit earlier when I was making my Jerome pick. Good team. I don't know what the fuck's going on right now. I wish I could show you my screen, but give me the Blue Raiders. Maybe I'll find some stats coming up at the moment, but Blue Raiders to the tournament.
Jay Walsh, you're next here. Your thoughts on Conference USA?
I don't have a ton of thoughts. I'm going Kennesaw State here. They're a good rebounding team. They score a lot of points. They're able to put up points in bunches, solid kind of across the board. Other than that, not really great at anything in particular. But again, they're kind of overall good at most things. So I'm going with the Owls. Again, not a ton of analysis here. I'm not gonna lie and pretend that I'm an avid CUSA regular season basketball watcher. But I'm going with Kennesaw State.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just like, I'm not gonna BS you, but I'm not gonna dig deep into Conference USA, I'll go Jacksonville State. I mean they got Jaron Pure Jr. averaging like 21 a game, pretty good guard play. So I mean guard play can take them pretty far in this tournament. So I'll go Jacksonville State to win this conference. So Middle Tennessee would be a really good pick as well, because
Give me Liberty. Zach Cleveland. He is one of their best players on this team, and that's the only reason why I'm picking them, because his name is Cleveland. So sure, why not? This is the kind of ball knowledge you come to the Merrifield Sportsbook for. So, Matt, did you find anything on Middle Tennessee?
I did. They did get swept by Liberty this year, but they played them close in their most recent matchup and didn't get blown out either time. They split with Jacksonville State. They swept Kennesaw, so they're a good team. They shoot the ball okay. Actually, not very good, 32%. But still, they're one of the better offensive teams in this conference all around. They rebound at a pretty good rate, especially on the offensive glass. They don't allow offensive rebounds. They don't turn the basketball over. So from that standpoint, I think they're a good pick, and I don't know. There's a lot of teams I do like. I think if I didn't pick Middle Tennessee, I like Jacksonville State as well. So I think me and JDC are kind of stride for stride. It's my guy right there.
same.
We'll move on. We'll move on to if things go right, the two Big West is still very much alive. Things have to go perfectly right, though. They probably won't. But Jay Walsh, your thoughts here on the Big West. It's your favorite type of tournament setup. It's a ladder bracket. So give me your thoughts.
This one really makes me mad because I really wanted to pick against UC San Diego here. I don't necessarily love them as a team. I love them as a concept, just kind of the scrappy Big West team that I shut up. I love like the idea of a team that's like a true Cinderella story that kind of comes into the tournament wanting to prove themselves, but I don't really see it from this team, at least in the big tournament. In this tournament format, 1s and 2 seeds win almost every time. Give me the Tritons. They're not really great at anything, but they do a lot of things pretty solidly well. They're solidly deep. I don't think that they're the team that can go on a run in the big tournament like everybody thinks they are. But I think they get the job done in the Big West tournament, partially because of this disgusting format.
Jay, we'll move on to you. Your thoughts here on the Big West.
I mean, yeah, UC San Diego is going to be a very popular 12-5 upset pick. It's not even a question. It's going to be like, I feel like every single bracket I see on ESPN.com is going to be UC San Diego over whoever they play. I mean, UC Irvine, I mean, they're also a very good team, even though UC San Diego went into their house in mid-February and boat raced them, which was honestly very impressive. I mean, just like Jay Walsh said, they do everything very, like, they're just a very, very good team. Like, they're a top 40 KenPom team, very good defensively. They have a very solid resume. I mean, I would not be surprised if the Anteaters, in the championship outright won that. So I'll go with UC San Diego just from a talent perspective, but would not be surprised if Irvine ends up winning that thing at all.
Matt, are you riding with UC San Diego, or are you taking somebody else here?
I'm going with UC San Diego. I'm praying to the basketball gods, and by the basketball gods, I mean the committee, that they put UC San Diego with Michigan in the first round, preferably in Seattle, but anywhere would be perfect because Michigan, as we all know, turns the basketball over like it's a trend. And meanwhile, UC San Diego, A, doesn't turn it over. B, they force almost some of the most turnovers. They're like second in the country, first in the country in turnover margin, if I'm not mistaken. Their turnover percentage on both sides of the ball are incredible, top 5 in the country. I would love to just watch that. These two teams met twice this year. The first time Irvine won by 8, but it was one of UC San Diego's worst offensive performances of the year. And then when they met again at UC Irvine, UC San Diego put them in a body bag. So as much as I would love to see a 2-bid Big West, I don't see it happening. Also, to be truthfully honest, is UC San Diego in if they don't win their conference tournament? They haven't beaten anybody. Like, they played San Diego State close the first game of the year, but I don't think they qualify. But Drake, I think, and I can go back to confirm Drake's resume, but I thought Drake still had a reasonable argument to be put in. I don't think there's really an argument for UC San Diego to be in unless they win this tournament. So, and I think they realize that.
I mean, they beat Utah State, but that's probably their best win outside of Irvine, and they split with them. So it's a very at-large possibility of it being a 2-bid league if UC Irvine wins the title. I don't think they do, though. I think it ends up being UC San Diego. And I kind of like was mentioned, a lot of people are thinking that's the trendy pick. Those never work out. The trendy upset pick never wins. That's just how it goes. So it's just something to keep in your mind when the brackets start rolling out on Sunday. If they win, it's never the trendy pick. So let's move on. We got another conference here that we're got the next 2 conferences. I know we're just deep in it. The SWAC is the first one up. Jay DeCoster, I know your SWAC. You love the SWAC. Give me info on the SWAC.
Nothing like the SWAC. Oh, man. Shout out Walter Payton, Bears legend. Give me Jackson State, because why not? And Dion, primetime. Why not? Give me Jackson State.
Matt, who will be the SWAC representative to play in the 16 game in Dayton?
It'll be a mainstay in Dayton this time of year, Jackson State. They will be back in the SWAC title game, and they will be punching their ticket to the tournament. And by the tournament, I mean Dayton, Ohio.
Jay Walsh, is it going to be a Jackson State sweep?
It is not. I'm going to go with Bethune, or we're on the SWAC, right?
Yes.
Yes, okay. I'm going to go with Bethune-Cookman. Shut up. Don't laugh at me. I'm going with Bethune-Cookman. They are rolling going in. They're winners of 5 games in a row. Very good defensively. Second best rebound rate in the SWAC. And they have one of their best scorers coming back, Brayon Freeman. 16 points, 16.4 points per game. Just played in his first game since, I believe, like mid-January. He was out with an injury for a month and a half, but he just played his first game again in that win against Florida A&M 2 days ago. So they're getting one of their top scorers back. They're a very deep team. They have 8 guys that play meaningful minutes in the rotation. I like this team a lot. I'm going with Bethune-Cookman to make it to the NCAA tournament.
Given that we have such immense ball knowledge on the SWAC, I'm sure both Matt and Jay realize that Jackson State started the year 0-13. Incredible run by them. That was a front-loaded schedule where they played Houston, High Point, Xavier, Vanderbilt, Western Kentucky, Lipscomb, St. Louis, Arkansas State, Iowa State, UTEP, Akron, and Cal Baptist. Lost to all 13 of them. They're not winning this tournament. It's going to be Southern. Give me the Jaguars. I got no reasoning. We'll just move on. Let's move on to the WAC. It's another great tournament in Vegas. Matt Merrifield, give me some WAC thoughts here.
I love that they're playing the first round tomorrow in St. George, Utah, for Southern Utah Tech, because Orleans Arena is unavailable until Wednesday because of the WCC tournament. Shout out San Francisco. They're my last hope for my take from last week to come through, where the Big Two will not win the WCC. So fingers crossed that the Dons bring it home. But in this conference, the WAC, RIP, give me Utah Valley. That's it. That's all I got. The best team in the conference. It really wasn't close this year. But future Indiana head coach Bryce Drew with Grand Canyon is a team to watch out for. They did win it last year, but I don't think they'll do it this year.
Jay Walsh, your next pick.
I'm also going to go with Utah Valley. Kind of similar to my MAAC analysis. Utah Valley just dominated the conference, 15-1 in conference play. Best rebounding team in the conference, very good defensively, very good offensively. I mean, they're just, as Matt said, they're the best team in the league. So I'm going with Utah Valley.
Jay, your thoughts?
I'll take a mainstay and a little bit of an upset in the championship. Give me Grand Canyon to upset. They have 4 guys in double figures. A little bit of an upset brewing there in the championship. I'll take Grand Canyon. Best student section outside the zone. Grand Canyon.
That's one of the takes of all time, but give me the 2024 CBI champion Seattle Redhawks, because why not? That is just a amazing program. Give me the Redhawks. We move on to maybe the most important conference tournament of them all. We talked about the Big East being the greatest. The Ivy League tournament. This is where legends are made. It's a nice 4-team tournament. Jay Walsh, do you have any complaints about that? But give me your thoughts here on the Ivies.
This is the first and only time I'm okay with a top seed getting a pass to the semifinals for obvious reasons. But in a 2-game tournament, there's not really a whole lot of room for, there's room for upsets, but there's not really room for kind of depth to make his mark here. I'm going with Yale. They're the best team in the Ivy, best rebounding team, very good defensively. They're a very good 3-point shooting team, but they don't rely on it too much, which I like a lot. So I'm going with the Bulldogs.
Jay, are you also taking the Yale Bulldogs here?
I'll also go with Yale. Just all around a complete team. It's them or Princeton that's just been running the Ivy League for like the last 5 or 10 years. So I'll go with Yale.
Matt, are you also riding with the Bulldogs here?
Yes, they are better without Danny Wolf somehow this year, and they're super deep, and they're going to beat somebody in March. So give me the Yale Bulldogs.
Give me the Yale Bulldogs. We'll make it a clean sweep. Shout out Justin Appelman, mother, volleyball coach at Yale. Shout out Yale. What a great school. We move on to the A10. This was a tournament that went into chaos last year with all the top 4 seeds losing in their first game in the quarterfinals, leading us to a 6-5 title game between VCU and Duquesne. Jay, do we see something similar this year from the A10, or do you think those top 4 seeds make their impact felt again on the A10 tournament?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, you saw last year was crazy. I mean, Loyola Chicago had so many opportunities to even get to like the championship, and they just fell apart. Teams like that. George Mason been a big surprise. Dayton is on right outside the bubble, so they need to get some. Obviously, they need to win this tournament in order to get in. But I'll take VCU in the spot. They've been all around this like a very dominant team in this conference this year. It's a pretty weak conference. And George Mason's right there. I'll take VCU in the spot though to get back to the tournament.
Matt, we'll go to you next. Your thoughts here on the A10.
This is going to be a bid stealer conference like it is pretty much every year. And it's not George Mason. It's the Dayton Flyers. This team puts it together for 3 days. They somehow in Maui looked like a really good basketball team. They beat the UConn Huskies. They just beat the UConn Huskies. They slaughtered the UConn Huskies. They kept it close with Iowa State. They kept it close with hindsight, a pretty not very good UNC team. But I like this Dayton team. They're starting to play better. Not good, but better. And I think this is a perfect time for Anthony Grant and the Dayton Flyers to get their way back into the dance. Don't be surprised. Truly, I don't know. George Mason, everybody kept saying was good, and I don't know where that came from. VCU is a good basketball team, but as we all know, the best team in this conference never actually wins this conference tournament. So a little chaos, a little bid steal in action from the Dayton Flyers.
Let's never mention Maui again. Jay Walsh, we'll move on to you. Your thoughts here on the A10. Do we have a bid stealer on our hands?
I am also going with the bid stealer. I'm going with a little bit more of a reach than Matt did. I'm going with St. Joseph's. This is a solid team. Why do you bust out laughing when I make my picks, Matt? Come on.
Billy Lang.
You pick the answers that I'm just least expecting every single time.
Fighting Phil Martelli's. I love it.
Going with St. Joe's here.
Jay Walsh,
they are
I have a question. If they win, actually, this is a question. I'll do it. I was going to ask you to do it, but I'll do it. If St. Joe's wins the A10, I will wave my arms like the fucking mascot for the entirety of next week's show.
I'm going to hold you to that.
I will shake you through the hand for the camera. You have my word.
Sounds good. This is a team that closed the regular season well. They won 5 games in a row before dropping their final game of the season at LaSalle. This is a team that has shown that they can hang with good teams. I mean, earlier in the season, they beat Texas Tech. They have a couple decent wins on the schedule. They closed pretty well. They play kind of overall good basketball. So I'm going with St. Joe's here, and I will hold you to the Hawk.
I just checked their Ken Palm, and I think I may have made a mistake because this team might win the conference.
I told you they have a couple good wins on their schedule.
Shit.
I mean, I feel like I got to pick them now just so we can see the Hawk flying all episode next week. But I'm not turning on my original pick. It's a man that should have made the tournament last year, Robbie Avila and Josh Schertz. Give me the Billikens to win the A10. I don't even know how they finished the year. Not bad. I know they blew the game to Dayton. That was 2 games ago or something like that. But give me the Billikens. Why not?
What about the Fighting Drew Valentine's future Spartan head coach?
Oh, no, we're not talking about Drew Valentine, future Spartan head coach, because we're not doing that, because you are not a person with the first name of Cy that has been pushing this narrative on me for the past 2 years that he's going to be the next Spartan head coach. He's not good.
As long as Sister Jean comes with him, I will accept Drew.
I don't get how she's still alive. No offense, but she's 105.
105.
The Loyola Fighting Hospices.
She's got the power of God on her side.
Oh fuck! Come on, man.
What's in the water in Chicago?
You can't beat their basketball team and the Lord at the same time.
Hey, the good news is
our religion.
We know that Jay DeCoster is living until he's 140 if he's drinking the same water that she is.
Hey,
I mean, Loyola, man.
The power of the Lord.
Who's more powerful, the power of the blue demons or the power of the Lord? Let's be real here. We want to get into that.
One is the Antichrist, so I don't. Dear Lord, let's move on, please. Who's next?
I don't know what's the American. Oh dear, this is a one bid league. I don't even know where I'm at in the circle. Jay, I'm just picking you. Go. Speak on the American. Tell me why Memphis.
This is a bid stealer because Memphis is honestly not that good, and they're going to get bounced in the first round. Give me North Texas against Memphis in the championship. Memphis, I know they beat Michigan State, but they had some pretty bad losses in that conference. I will take North Texas as the slight underdog in this tournament. So yeah.
Matt.
I will go with the Memphis Tigers. I picked UAB last year and I actually came through on that one, but I think Memphis is a strong team this year. I know they have the 2 slip-ups to Temple and Wichita State, but when it comes down to it, they took care of business against the good teams in the conference. North Texas, they won at home. I think they only played them once. They beat up on FAU, who is kind of a threat. Memphis beat Clemson. They beat Michigan State. They beat UConn, Missouri. So this is a good team. So they're not great, but I don't think this is the year for a bid stealer. I think they actually get it done this year in the AAC.
Memphis only won that game because the refs in 60 minutes once again proved it yesterday. Jay Walsh.
Speaking of Antichrist, he crawled on the floor like one.
Anyway,
they literally show the footage of him crawling on all fours.
They did. This is true because it wasn't a foul.
That's not the point. The point is don't act like a psychopath. Be normal. Anyways, get back to you, Jay Walsh. I'm just tired of acting like Dan Hurley's a sane human being.
I don't think anyone that isn't Nick Burt pretends that Dan Hurley is a sane human being. But anyway,
hey,
we'll I
very much admitted to a lot of people after that. He is an absolute psychopath, and I love it.
Anyway, let's get back to the American. I'm going with Penny Hardaway here. They were dominant most of the conference season. They had 2 losses in conference. One of them was an OT loss at Wichita State. They have plenty of good wins on the schedule. MSU, UConn, Clemson, Ole Miss. I mean, they are a solid team. I don't think they're great, but I don't really see anybody in the American pulling the upset. So give me the Tigers.
This team went on a run last year. I believe they lost in the final. I believe they are still under a gambling investigation. Give me Temple. Give me the Owls. I don't know. They beat Memphis once this year. They're on a 3-game win streak, which one of those was North Texas. Give me the Owls. Philadelphia, rise up. Give me the Owls. We'll move on to the SEC. This is a conference. This is one of the conferences of all time. Matt Merrifield, start us off. Your thoughts here on the SEC.
Well, I want to take Alabama so bad because I want them to get up that one line so that way it can be Alabama 1 seed in San Francisco. They won't even make it there. Michigan State is a 2 seed, but I got to go with Auburn. They're going to get right for this conference tournament, I feel like. Now, as I pointed out on Twitter today, shout out, the only team since 2000 to lose their last 2 games of the regular season and win a national title is 2011 UConn with Kemba Walker. And UConn is the only school to lose the last game of the regular season since 2000 and go on to win a national championship. They did not once, not twice, but 3 times. And Auburn is not UConn. So, and you don't want to be associated with Kevin Ollie. So give me Auburn to win the SEC title, but they're going to come up just short in March. So, but give me Auburn. I think their path to the title game is a lot easier because you look at the other side. Florida, I think Florida's the best team in this conference, but do I trust them to beat Missouri and then beat Bama and then beat probably Auburn all in 3 days in a row? That's too much to ask of somebody. Whereas Ole Miss, then Tennessee are 2 easy wins for anybody, including Auburn. So give me the Tigers.
Jay Walsh, your thoughts?
I mean, this conference is just an absolute. This is really difficult to pick. I'm gonna go with Tennessee here. Tennessee is again, Matt. Come on,
Rick Barnes sucks ass.
Hey, it's not the real.
Ass.
It's not the real tournament. It's not the real tournament yet. Rick Barnes still has time, but they are. I mean, they're a very good defensive team, good in terms of rebounding. They played 1 game at Auburn earlier in the year and lost by 2. So they have definitely shown the ability to hang with the top teams in this conference. And might I inform you guys that in that game against Auburn at Auburn, they held Auburn to 53 points. So this Auburn team is not some superhuman team. I mean, we've seen them lose a couple games down the stretch here, but I'm going with the Vols here to make the run to get to the to win the SEC title.
Jay, your thoughts here on the SEC?
I'm also going to take Auburn. I just their path is easier. I mean, Tennessee's an incredible defensive team. I don't trust that their offense is just going to keep up with Auburn in this spot. I guess the rest of the bracket plays out like Florida's going to be a really tough one. Like Florida went into the Plains and beat them by I think it was 15 or 20. Alabama, like I don't know, I can't trust Alabama. Like just I know they went into Auburn and won, but do I trust them to go ahead and just run through this thing? With their defensive woes, I just don't see it right now. I'll take Auburn. It's just they have a little bit issues like just with like Jay Walsh said, but they're gonna get that's like a get right spot for them. They're coming off that loss. They'll be ready for the spot. I'll take Auburn to get that one line, the overall number one overall one line.
And I'm going to take the Florida Gators. That weird saying that goes around every once in a while on social media that hard times make strong men or something along those lines. That run for Florida, it's going to be hard times, but it's going to make a team that's going to be battle tested for the tournament. I think they can get through all three of those potential games. I like the Gators. I think they are one of, if not the national championship favorite, honestly, right now. They have played outstanding this year. And I don't know if it's just because I fully haven't paid attention to the SEC, but it kind of feels like they're flying under the radar because everybody's talking about, Duke, Houston, Auburn. Florida doesn't usually get brought up. They do every once in a while, but they don't really get brought up in the same amount of repetitiveness as those other three. I like Florida. Give me the Gators to win this conference. And we move on. We are just over an hour into this, and we move on to our final conference. And that is, of course, the final conference tournament to tip off their national championship conference tournament final before the bracket is revealed. And that is the Big Ten. We are going to have people live in Indianapolis this week. Of course, Matt Merrifield. He's always live for WDBM East Lansing. This is an interesting Big Ten. I feel like before we get into the Big Ten, we'll just talk about Michigan State. Winners outright of the Big Ten. Matt, you've covered the team the whole year. Just kind of your thoughts as we enter the real part of March now on the thoughts with Michigan State here.
I mean, I'm cautiously optimistic about this team because the lack of there's really not a lack of nothing. I think that's the thing I'm kind of confused about. I'm trying to find something to get upset about. They don't do anything. They do some things exceptionally well. They rebound well. The energy's always there. The defense is there. That's going to win you a lot of games. Even though the second half against Michigan wasn't pretty, they were up 50-28. It was senior day, and they kind of let things just slip away. And the defense was still there. Just the offense could not hold on to the basketball, and that happens. But especially after they played between the second half of Iowa and the first half of Michigan, they put up, 112 points in 40 minutes of basketball. And I don't remember last time Tom Izzo's done that. So in any stretch. So I'm excited for this team going to March. I don't know how this Big Ten tournament's going to go because on their side of the bracket, they get two of the three teams they lost to in conference play. And I don't want to see those two. Those are the two teams I don't want to see again. I don't want to see Indiana again. Just how long they are. Now their effort is always a question mark. And then UCLA they make every game a dogfight, which I think that semifinal game between Michigan State and UCLA on Saturday is going to be a lot of fun, but also very stressful for Michigan State fans watching that game. Comes down to matchup for this team getting to March. But then part of me believes, and Nick, we joke about this. This team doesn't win close games. It doesn't matter who they play. They beat everybody by 8. It truly doesn't. They've won how many games by less than 5 points this year? They beat Maryland. That was a close game.
North Carolina.
Illinois was a close game. Penn State brought it back late in that game, but that game was really never close, even though Penn State was always within striking distance. Ohio State was a 7-point game because State shot their worst game of the year against Ohio State on the road and still found a way to win, going 3 of 18 from beyond the arc. And North Carolina and Maui. Like, this team doesn't win close games, and they've lost. They're always in every game. Their 3 losses they were in despite playing bad basketball. Like, in years past, they play like that and they get blown out. This year, it's not the case. They have a go-to scorer in Jace Richardson, who's a bona fide star. Jaden Akins looks confident in his jump shot now. Still not going down quite at the rate that I think he wants to. He's still a little inefficient, in my opinion, but he's going in the right direction at the right time. I mean, I don't know. I truly don't know what the ceiling of this team is, and it keeps surprising everybody, including myself, as much as I was high on this team coming into the year. So I guess it's just time to wait and see with this team. There's no glaring flaw where I sit and say, yeah, they're going to lose because of this. Truly, their shooting is getting better. They're above 30% for the first time all year. So I guess it's just time to wait and see. I'm excited for the next couple of weeks with this team.
Jay Walsh, your kind of overall thoughts with this Michigan State team?
I mean, Matt really kind of got into a lot of it. They're of an exceptionally solid team. Like, they play phenomenal defense. They rebound extremely well, especially for a team who, I mean, yeah, they've got Simone Zapala, who's a 7-footer, Carson Cooper, who's 6'11", but I mean, they don't overwhelm you with a ton of size down low. I mean, their leading rebounder is Jackson Kohler, who is a generous 6'9". So I mean, it's just they do the fundamental things well. They hustle. They are a prototypical Tom Izzo team. They'll just outwork you to death. And in terms of predicting what this team's going to do, it's really difficult because I think most of their strengths lead to deeper runs in the tournament. I mean, their biggest strength this year is that they're an incredibly deep team. And obviously we know that I am a big fan of that come this time of year. It has a historical trend of deep teams going further in the tournament. They rebound well. Rebounding teams and good rebounding teams usually do pretty well in the tournament. Defensive teams, kind of same thing. It feels really weird to say, but the biggest X factor on this team is the only guy who's been there for 4 years. Jaden Akins is the biggest X factor of this team, because if his shot can continue to kind of round into form, as Matt said, they've been shooting a lot better these last couple games. A lot of it falls on Jaden Akins. If his shot starts falling in the tournament, they can beat anybody. I mean, they were beating I won't say very good teams, because I don't think the Big Ten is all that great this year, but they were beating solid tournament teams shooting like 15% from 3. Like, this is a team that has learned how to win when shots aren't falling. And so if you start giving them some 3-point shots, they can beat just about anybody. And a big part of why they've kind of separated themselves in a lot of their games, like Matt said, they don't really win a lot of close games. A lot of that is because they are a phenomenal free throw shooting team. So when you get into the situation where a team is down 3 to 4 points with under a minute left, they're going to foul MSU, and MSU is going to make their free throws. I mean, they had a couple rough games down the stretch, but it's just another example of this team just kind of does everything well for the most part. So it'll be really interesting to see what they do in the Big Ten tournament, because I really hate their path. Obviously, I mean, we're going to see either Indiana in that disgusting zone that they played against MSU the first time around, or we're going to see Oregon, who is a very capable team if they can put it all together. And then if we win that, we're going to see either Wisconsin, who we had a close game with the first time. It kind of got out of hand late, but that game was close for the most part, or UCLA, who I really don't want to see UCLA again. I don't like the way we match up with them. And then I don't like their path in the Big Ten tournament, but I think this team is very capable of cutting down the nets, both in Indianapolis and in San Antonio, if they can get their shots to start falling.
Jay, It was about 68 minutes ago. You said you were happy to wake up with a national championship contender or something along those lines. Your kind of thoughts on Michigan State basketball headed into the real portion of March.
Yeah, and what I mean by that is, the last 4 years, like they the Iowa game, they trailed by like what was it, 15 or 10 or 15. The Oregon game, they were down by 15. They were getting ran out of the building. This team finds ways to win games that we haven't seen in the last 4 years since Cassius. They rebound very effectively. They're starting to shoot the three ball at the right time. Hopefully that continues, and they haven't peaked a little too early because they can run into it in the round of 32 of the Sweet 16, and their shots won't be falling, and they could lose that game. Hopefully that continues. But this team just finds ways to win that we haven't seen in a long time. And I just love how, guys like, we dog like guys like Carson Cooper, a little bit of Kohler like last year, and then early parts of this year. Those guys have been playing really well. Like Cooper has been so much better the last month or two. We're just talking about guys like that we haven't thought about playing this well at this time. And I guess from my perspective of the tournament is, they don't have a great matchup. Like Oregon is playing really good basketball right now. Indiana is going to give you a lot of fits, as we saw. Hopefully that doesn't continue. But UCLA, I agree, they don't match up well with at all. And then for Big Ten championship, you're going to get, if they get Michigan, they're probably going to beat them again. But if they get Maryland, that's going to be a really, really tough test. Like Maryland's another bad matchup that, honestly, like I was like, with the half court shot, they found a way to win a game just like that. Like those 4 years, the last 4 years of this team, they would have lost that game. They just find ways to win. I guess Nick said a couple weeks ago, he said I'm along for the ride. That's me at this point. Like national title contender, like I'd be disappointed if this team doesn't get to the Elite. Like I'd be very disappointed if they don't reach the Elite Eight, but that's far down the line. We'll see what happens. But it's been like an incredible season. Did not expect this at all. So
I think you just summed it up, Jay. A few weeks ago, I just said I'm kind of along for the ride at this point. I'm not getting my expectations up because they haven't been up all year. And if I get them up, then that only leads to disappointment. Obviously, I'm hoping this team ends up in San Antonio. That makes that weekend a lot more fun. Merrifield Sportsbook live from the Alamo. That's going to be an incredible time. But in all seriousness, it really is just we're taking it one game at a time now. But I think I told Matt this. I don't remember who, but it was before the Michigan game. It was basically like, hey, there's at most 10 games left in this season for Michigan State at most. And honestly, like just enjoy the ride. And that's kind of where it is now. It's that number's gone down to 9 after that Michigan win. But at this point, it's just we'll see where it goes. We'll see where it goes from here. So let's actually get into this Big Ten tournament. I don't know what to think of it. There's some interesting matchups, but Jay Walsh, will go to you first. Your thoughts here on what's going to happen in Indianapolis at the Big Ten tournament.
Well, like I said, I really don't like Michigan State's path. I would love to pick Michigan State here because, it's their only chance of getting a 1 seed, even though we have all seen that winning the Big Ten tournament means nothing to the tournament committee because, let's be real, they already have the bracket done before this game finishes. But I'm going to go with Maryland here. I like their path a lot better. They're going to probably face an Illinois team in the second or in the quarterfinals they're talented, but they just have not put it together all season long. I know the big running joke is that they have the highest ceiling of any Big Ten team. I'm sorry, they need to show me something. A team that loses by 40 to Duke, I can't in good faith give them the title of highest ceiling. But I really like this Maryland team. They're a lot like Michigan State in that they play great defense, they rebound very well, but they shoot the ball better. They're a solid 3-point shooting team. The only thing that worries me about this Maryland team going into March is that they're not super deep. They're starting 5 each play almost 30 minutes a game. They have a couple guys that come off the bench, but really they play about a 7-man rotation, which usually does not bode well for this time of year. But I think at least in the Big Ten tournament, they're going to be able to get the job done just simply by playing good defense, rebounding, and shooting the ball solidly. So I like the Terps here. And also not to mention that obviously the one time they played MSU, they lost on a buzzer beater in a game that realistically, if the one dude on Maryland wasn't an idiot, they should have taken the last shot and possibly made it and won the game. So I don't know. I like the Terps here. I'm taking Maryland to win the Big Ten tournament.
Jay, we'll move on to you next. Your thoughts here on just the tournament in general.
I'm also taking Maryland. I like their path. Like I agree, Jay Walsh. Like their Illinois is very hit or miss. I could definitely see them upsetting Maryland. Honestly, getting to the championship with that path. But do I see it? Probably not, because they have they're very talented, but they have not shown us that they can do that. So just for that, I mean, their path it favors them a lot. Like if they can beat Illinois or beat that 10-15 game Ohio State or Iowa, you're set up for a semifinal matchup against Purdue, who's not as good this year, who's been struggling, or you get a Michigan team who's been even worse, who's been struggling over the last month and is on a free fall in the tournament seeding line. And then the championship, you're going to get Michigan State or a UCLA team. I like Maryland's matchup in the spot. I just like Michigan State. Like I also like I want to pick them, but also like, it's at some point that like they're very hot right now, but also like reality will set in like at some point in this tournament, and they'll just get prepped for the NCAA tournament. I just think Maryland's a very good team. Great front court. I mean, Derek Queen's going to cause problems for anyone in this area of the region. So I'll take Maryland. I mean, they're really, really good, and it's just the matchups favor them. So give me the Terps.
Jay DeCoster fading Tony Stubblefield once again.
Yes.
Real shame. Matt, we'll go on to you next. Obviously, you'll be in the building. What are you hoping to see this weekend matchup-wise, and who wins it?
I mean, there really isn't anything left to see from MSU. I guess just see them pull out if they get into a dogfight with UCLA. Just watch them pull out a close game like that. And yet we've seen them do it in other points this year. I guess that Maryland game was the example, was the redemption arc of a low-scoring dogfight basketball game against a very good defensive team, where the offensive half-court sets just aren't working because Michigan State just can't seem to figure out teams like Maryland, like UCLA. Houston or Tennessee would be a game like that come March time, and the MSU could potentially see down the stretch an Elite Eight type matchup. But the stat I shared with you today, Nick, of the 8 Final Fours that Tom Izzo has made in the Big Ten tournament, that of those years, 3 times he's lost in the quarterfinals in the first game. Once he's made it to the semifinal and lost. Once he's lost in the title game, that was 2015, and then he's won it 3 times. So I don't take too much into if they were to drop to Indiana or even a good Oregon team that is still projected to be like a 4 or 5 seed, which I think is a little high in my opinion for this Oregon Duck squad. I know their non-conference gives them a lot of boost because the committee does favor non-conference games, as it should, but also this Oregon team doesn't look that good, to be completely honest, here the last 2 months. So I guess we'll have to wait and see. Either way, my pick for the Big Ten, however, I'm going with Illinois. Yes, they have the highest ceiling in the Big Ten. You can shake your head, Joe Walsh. I know that's the one where it's like, why are you picking them? They're getting Merez Johnson back. That was announced. I saw John Rothstein's tweet, I think, right when we started recording. So he's back. He hasn't played since that Michigan State game when he was torching the Spartans early in the second half. And then as soon as they stopped going to him, and then he broke his hand or broke his wrist or sprained his wrist, whatever the hell happened. And he literally did not play since. So they get that piece down low. This team loves to shoot threes, and they're starting to go in right now. they are still a talented basketball team, and I think they can put it together. They're going to play a bad Iowa or a bad Ohio State team regardless. They're going to win that game. That's probably the game I'm least looking forward to is Ohio State Iowa on Wednesday. Like I could go without that game. Both teams don't need to come. After that, they get what? Purdue. Purdue's not good. Or no, they would get Maryland.
They get Maryland.
They would get Maryland. I think that would be a really good game, and I think the winner of that game would go to the final. And I know Maryland, based on I saw one analytics site says Maryland actually has the best path and best chance of winning the tournament, despite being the 3 or the 2 seed. Regardless, whoever plays Michigan or Purdue is going to win. Even though I think that Rutgers or USC could go on a run to the semifinal game because Purdue and Michigan are so bad right now. So, but I think Illinois is going to end up winning the tournament because if they play Michigan State, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year, especially when Illinois has to start shooting the ball better. But I guess Michigan State's taken away the 3-point shot from everybody, so maybe that continues again. But overall, I'm not too worried about what happens with Michigan State this weekend, so we'll have to wait and see. But yeah, give me Illinois. The biggest ceiling in the Big Ten gets it done in Indianapolis. Back-to-back Big Ten tournament champions.
I'm going to take a team that has not been mentioned yet, and that's the Wisconsin Badgers. I know the run as of late hasn't been great. They're 3-3 in their last 6. A bad loss to Oregon in overtime. They obviously lost to Michigan State. Team kind of got out of control late. And then losing to Penn State on senior day, a team that didn't even make Big Ten tournament. Not a great look. But I think the way the bracket might play out sets up very well for them. You're going to be playing either Minnesota or Northwestern on Thursday, and neither of those teams are good. They've beaten both of them in February and Minnesota in March, but beaten both of them already, which sets you up for Friday against a UCLA team that has not won a game in the Eastern time zone this year. They've been quite awful whenever they have to travel east, especially to the Eastern time zone. They struggle in the Central too, but they've really struggled there. And then you get the semifinal on Saturday where you're either going to face a Michigan State team you played well for about 75% of the game, or you're facing an Oregon or Indiana because they pulled off the upset against Michigan State. I still think they can beat both of them. And then when you're in the final, it's up against whoever's left on the other side. I think there is a very real potential the bracket plays out well for Wisconsin. I think the Badgers can go on a run here and win the Big Ten. So given that, we have officially previewed all 31 conference tournaments. We've made it through. We've had a lot of laughs along the way with our intense ball knowledge of mid-major basketball and asking how Sister Jean is still alive at 105 years old. It's been a lot of laughs, but it starts to get really, we're locked in for March now. The tournament is mere days away. I know I can't wait. I know these guys can't wait. It's going to be very entertaining. So that's going to wrap it up here. We're clocking in at 1:23-ish right now. So if you guys have anything left, let's open the floor. If there's anything.
Trey Holloman is a dog, and the Michigan players knew exactly what they were doing. Not wrong. But Jay, you got any last thoughts?
Dusty May, you just stop lying, dude. Like, come on. What are we doing? You knew about the tradition. Just stop lying to yourself. I'll shut up now.
His strategy, Jay, at least from what I understand, was that he did know the tradition. That was his way of standing up for the players.
Yeah, no,
That he just probably handled it in the worst way possible and tried using sarcasm and narcissism to like make a joke out of, I didn't know we weren't allowed to stand on the court and watch them shoot free throws. Wrong answer. And you know that's the wrong answer, Dusty, and you could have handled it.
You've been in college basketball for 30 years.
Not that you have to throw your players under the bus, but simply just saying they handled it, but we handled it inappropriately. All you had to say.
And it's not even that. If you double down and say, yeah, we did this because fuck them, they're our rival, fuck their senior tradition, I can respect that. Like I won't like it. It's disrespectful, but I can at least respect it. The fact that you're gonna go out of your way to stand on the logo, and it's clear. Anyone who watches the replays from any of the camera angles, it's clear that they knew exactly what they were doing. Jaden Akins and Trey Holloman were telling them repeatedly, get away from the logo, and they were not moving until Trey Holloman went up there and moved them. So if you're gonna go out of your way to do that, double down, own it, be that guy.
I'm gonna wholeheartedly hope that Dusty didn't know that they were gonna do it, but he could have came out and just said they shouldn't have done that. Like literally just said, like, yes, they did it, and it's my fault, and I should have, that's on me that my players handled it like that. But whatever, I did. Nothing surprises me with that school and that fan base and that program anymore. So whatever. I mean, truly. I mean, if I was Frankie Fiddler, I would have kissed the floor. Like I would have done him a teen and kissed it literally between them. Like because I did not kiss the floor yesterday because I don't play for the team. Despite students kissing the floor. If you choose to do that, you choose to do that. I know some people in this chat have done it. If I were to kiss the floor, I would kiss straight in the middle. And Frankie didn't. Frankie kind of avoided him, and I wouldn't have avoided him, but I don't give Frankie crap because also I wouldn't want to start shit, and I'm just trying to kiss the floor and get the hell out of the way. So either way, fuck them. But my last thing about MSU basketball is, to be truthfully honest, when trying to decide on this team, there isn't the rotation's 9. There's 10 guys right now. I think it's going to shrink to 9 starting Friday. And I think we can all guess which player is going to get cut out of the lineup. Those 9 guys I wouldn't pick. There's a group of 9 other guys based on I've watched a lot of college basketball this year. There's no group that plays with an edge. Like when they play with the edge that we saw in the first half, and we've seen pretty much all season long, minus pretty much just minus the USC game and most of the Indiana game, this team there really isn't much that gets in the way. Even a team like Auburn, even a team like Florida, they're going to drag them into the trenches. So I guess we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. Quickly before we go, shout out both Michigan and Minnesota hockey. Great showing, Big Ten tournament this weekend, both of you going out. Michigan hockey, get ready to learn college hockey crown. Not a thing, but they should be. They shouldn't be in the tournament. I'm sure me and Matt could ramble on that for 20 minutes, but Michigan State had the bye. They got to avoid all the chaos. They play Notre Dame this weekend. And then the other side is Ohio State and Penn State. Penn State, maybe the hottest team in hockey right now. They have played incredible these past few weeks. They are scary. They're going to end up making the tournament. They're going to be in Allentown because they host the regional. And Matt just told me today that it's disgusting that Michigan State could end up in Allentown with Penn State as the 3 or 4, and it's going to basically be a road game. That's disgusting. But shout out college hockey. Shout out college hockey. So given that, if anybody, well, now any final thoughts? So just to wrap it up here, and that's a no. So that's going to wrap it up. So thank you so much for watching. We are just under 90 minutes here. Hopefully you made it all 90 minutes. So thank you so much for watching. Next week, I don't know when we're doing it next week. It may be Sunday night, depending on when Matt gets back. Probably not Monday, because I was told Matt can't go because there's a certain East Lansing holiday on Monday.
I you know what? Maybe I still show up, but just don't take anything I say seriously. Not that you should anyways, but just saying.
I'll just let you guys know right now. Sunday, Monday, I'm not going to be able to because I'm going to be in Arizona for my cousin's wedding. I get back Monday at like 11:40 p.m. So,
all right, so we're recording Wednesday night during the tournament, or the tournament at Dayton.
Well, it is what it is. We'll figure it out. We will see you guys next week for a full tournament preview, the real tournament this time, of the Merrifield Sportsbook Show.